Radhe Radhe. Welcome to the beginning of another live Sangha. May this be an offering to Sri Radha Krishna. And as we await our first guests to arrive, allow me to set the intention for this space as being a welcoming environment, open to everyone, regardless of background, identity, orientation, belief system, ethnicity, race, creed, culture, what your blood type is, how long your fingernails are, or what your favorite color is, whatever may divide us on the surface. I hope that we come together to seek the unity at heart, to uplift each other, relate in one another's experiences, and share positive sentiments. That is my intention for this space. But welcome my dear viewers who are joining now. I hope that your days are going as well as they can. And if you're not feeling happy, that's allowed. You're feeling frustrated or sad, or maybe even anxious, guilty, whatever your feelings may be, just know that they're allowed to be here. Now, thank you, Vanessa, for blessing us with a heart meet so early on. My heart goes out to you too. Hari Om Tat Sat. And hello, Sarah. Meow meow. Mika, you share that not being happy reminds you that you're alive. That's very true. Very true indeed. And hello, dear Vanessa. You're wondering how I'm doing today. I am feeling well. Thank you for asking. How are you feeling? Hello, Marcy. You want to call me Choki? Well, I hope that's not a... I hope that's not a degrading term. But that's pretty cute. It's the puppy. Well, I'm happy to be a puppy. Welcome. Hello, Sophia. Sarah, you share that you are anxious. You have cancer. You have an appointment on the 12th to check. And health anxiety is very understandable. And you are such a lovely part of this earth. I am sure that Mother Earth will take good care of you, as long as you take good care of yourself for her. You're doing okay. I'm happy to hear that, Vanessa. Natalia, you're wondering, is that Liam on my shirt? It almost looks like it. It says, I am. But it's very close to being Liam. If I just put a finger there, then it says Liam. Which is my name. And thank you, Rasi, for your trio finger heart. And a heart me and a team bracelet. Thank you. Now I have a question of the day for you all. Today I'm wondering, it's a long one, but it's simple. What is a likable, unique, and unspoken trait of your best friend or someone that you love? Bring to mind someone that you have a lot of love and affection for. What's something about them that goes unspoken? A unique characteristic trait, a unique aspect of them that maybe they don't get recognized often for, at least not in a way that they even know. What is a tendency that you can't help but love? Something that's uniquely them. Grace, you shared truthfulness. I love that. Yes. Being truthful. Honesty is the best policy, as they say. Angel, you share. Shay always feels welcoming. She's like a mom with open arms, but she's your sister. I love that. She sounds like a very good sister. Marcy, you share, you will not say this. Oh boy. Barbara, you share, you need to think about this question. Please, take as long as you need. Sarah, you share that sometimes your partner deeply listens without any response and you love it so much. That's beautiful. Yeah. Sometimes they feel like they don't need to contribute anything, that your expression is just complete in and of itself. Yosan, you share, your girlfriend is very emotionally mature. I love that. And Reef, you share that when she can tell that you're not okay, but doesn't ask me what's wrong, simply makes you laugh. Aw, that is very sweet. Hello, Chloe Evans. Hello, Bubbles. My shirt says, I am. Haley, you share that your best friend's unique sense of humor. She's crazy. I'm happy you admire that in her. Marcia, you share that Billy is loyal, listens, and loves deeply. Mercedes, you share that your mom is the embodiment of unconditional love, and you hope to love your children in the same way. Wow. That is so sweet. I'm glad you love it, Bubbles. Courier Joe, you share your parents, your children and grandchildren unconditionally love. Good, good. Judson, you share that your best friend is so open-minded and present. You all could be immersed in conversation until the end. Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you, Saritis, for your rose. Radhe, Radhe. Barbara, you share. You think what's very unique and you like about someone is me? All I have, or I have all this love. Thank you, Barbara. That's very kind of you. Sarah, you shared that your friend Sam is quiet and typically an observer, but randomly he will say something so silly or sing. I love that. And Vanessa, you share that your best friend proves to you every day how she loves you regardless of what nonsense you be spouting. Aww. I love that. And I share this room with you all, and you feel very happy about this. You are very kind, Barbara. And I like that about you. W. Dave, you're wondering what happened with the math. Well, it still works. Equations still give the same answers. But I took down many of my videos to start something new. And Fodzia, you share that you have this strange relationship with your ex. You are there for each other through everyday life. I'm happy that you can have such a healthy relationship with someone that you shared something so precious with, but ended up going in different ways. Thank you, Liz. Beans on toast. You are wondering how I am this evening. I am well. Thank you for asking. Sarah, you like how I alternate between being so serious and so silly. So silly I get, but serious? I don't know if I'm ever serious. Sincere, maybe. When there is suffering, I am sincere about understanding it, holding space for it, but I don't take anything in this universe seriously. When the universe does not take itself seriously, why should I? Thank you, Liz, for your community fest also. Jai Sitaram. And Azealia. Hello. Sport, you ask, how do you let go? You just become. But no one ever succeeded in letting go. You can tell yourself, I let go. But all of our feelings are still with us. The only thing we can do is accept, allow, just be, and you will become everything that you need to be. Radhe or Radhe Ale or Ale. Thank you, Craig O'Connor, for your ice cream cone too. Om Namah Shivaya. That is Sanskrit, an ancient language. Aurora, you share that there is an undeniable, radiant, and potent compassion that emanates from your best friend. I love to hear that. Finley, you share that your father's acceptance, even of those he does not agree with. Beautifully put. And Fozia, thank you. Thank you for being here with me. Liz Lizard, you share that you were on a spiritual growth path, but you have fallen off it. Again, how can you stop yo-yoing? By recognizing that there's no such thing as falling down on the spiritual path. I will quote from one of the most spiritual books for the past 5,000 years. I just have to find the verse. I think it's from the 2nd chapter. Yeah, the 40th verse of the 2nd chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. This is Krishna. This is God speaking. Here, in the spiritual path, there is no loss of effort, nor is there any harm. Even a little of this knowledge protects one from the great fear. Knowing this to be such, you ought not to grieve. There is no loss on the spiritual path. 5,000 years is true. This song was sung 5,160 years ago and 4 months or so. On the battlefield of Kurukshetra in the great Mahabharata war between two ancient kingdoms. Now, I want to thank you all for exploring this question of the day with me. I am very grateful that you all have such a wonderful vision. You were able to see such wonderful qualities in those you love and the friends around you. You all make great friends, great lovers. So if there's no loss, you're supposed to yo-yo? Ask Liz Lizard. No, if there's no loss, it means you're not actually even yo-yoing. Your spiritual progress has only been going up. There are challenges along the way. And that's what makes you grow. All of the hard times, it's not a drop. It's what lifts you even higher. Every wall you climb requires effort, requires pain, and pushing through some resistance. And you might need rest, you might need breaks. You might fall back into habits, but that doesn't mean you would never lose knowledge. Or that doesn't mean you ever lose knowledge. You never lose knowledge. On the spiritual path, Paravidya cannot lose. Higher knowledge cannot be lost. Now thank you, Lonella, for your rose too. Hare Krishna. Hello, dear Priscilla. Welcome, everyone. It's a good topic, Liz Lizard. I'm happy to keep exploring it with you because it's applicable to everyone. You ask, then why does it feel like you're going backwards or down? Because you set expectations for yourself to be a certain way. And when you can't fulfill your own expectations, you feel like you've lost something. But your own expectations for yourself are not the mark to compare yourself to. In fact, there is no comparison on the spiritual path. It is only when you compare yourself to some benchmark that gets created in our mind do we feel like we're either getting better or getting worse. But expectations are effectively random. Or the outcome, at least, relative to our expectations. We cannot control them. But I'd like to continue reading, not from the Bhagavad Gita, but from The Hidden Power in Humans. This is a book about chakras and kundalini, and not just by anyone, by a traditional yogi who's a part of an ancient lineage that stems back tens of thousands of years, since yoga is a prehistoric practice. Last time we were talking about the Antakaran, the inner psychic functions, which include the Antarendriyas, the four inner senses. Just as we have five perceptive senses. These are the Gyanendriyas, sight, sound, touch, smell, and taste, and 5 Karmendriyas, senses of locomotion, such as digestion and vocation and procreation. We have 4 inner senses, that is the manas, the mind, the buddhi, the intellect, the ahankara, the ego, and the chitta, the consciousness. Of these, the buddhi is perhaps the most important, the intellect, because it is what will ultimately discern between the truth and the untruth, between reality and unreality. Thus, we become propelled on the spiritual path. These are Sanskrit terms. Don't try to memorize them now. Over time, you will remember them. Allow me to put up the cover for anyone who joins while we're reading. So today, after our discussion on the 4 inner senses, let's talk about Mala, Vikshepa, and Avarana, the 3 obstacles on the spiritual path. There are 3 so-called diseases that frequently afflict the Antakaran, the 4 mental aspects that we just talked about, hindering our spiritual development. These are Mala, Vikshepa, and Avarana. Mala means impurity, physical as well as mental. Vikshepa are the internal and external disturbances that plague us. And Avarana is the curtain of not knowing that clouds our consciousness. There is an allegory for this. A coin lies on the bottom of a bowl filled with water. If the water is dirty, mala, also turbulent, vikshepa, and on top of that is covered by a cloth, Avarana, we cannot see the coin at the bottom of the vessel. Steps taken in isolation do not help. If we only remove the cloth, our vision will still be obstructed by the ripples, by the water. And even if the waves subside, we are still unable to discern the coin because the water is polluted and cloudy. Then what to do? All three obstacles must be removed. Firstly, we must take the cloth away, then filter and purify the water, and lastly, quieten the waves. Then the coin can be seen clearly and raised to the surface. Similarly, I imagine our mind is much like water. We could have various obstructions blocking our view to see our mind clearly. Similarly, our mind may be very turbulent. How can we possibly see the reflection of our true self in our mind with the turbulent one? And our mind might be impure, full of imperfections, in which we also cannot make out the conscious being that we are. Let's dive deeper. Mala, the impurities, are our impure thoughts. They obscure and darken our mind. We are mistaken if we think that no one can read our thoughts. We know exactly what we are thinking. Freedom of thought is our birthright, but we should not forget that every thought, as well as every action, comes back to us as karma. External dirt is simple to remove, but inner impurities stick in the depths of our consciousness and are not so easily disposed of. To purify our body, we need perhaps just under 1 hour, but we may require several lifetimes to purify our consciousness. Vikshepa are the disturbances that can stem either from the outer world or our inner world. We can protect ourselves and take precautions against external disturbances like noise, heat, or cold, but attacks from the inside, such as fears and complexes, are only prevented with difficulty. Nervousness, worry, and annoyance are internal disturbances that churn up our mind and obstruct us until we are able to get to their root cause. And finally, Avarana is the curtain of ignorance that dulls the mind. This veil is the reason for us not recognizing who we really are, as the following story illustrates. A young lion was abandoned by its mother in the wilderness and taken by a herd of goats. It got goat's milk to drink and lived with them in the same stall. So naturally, it thought it was also a goat. It bleated like them and also ate grass like them. One day, a wild lion came that wanted to have a goat for breakfast. All the goats, including the young lion that truly believed itself to be a goat, took to their heels. The lion was very surprised that there was an animal of the same species as himself that behaved like a goat, and so decided to take a closer look. He caught the little lion, and it began to bleat. Pitifully, it shouted, "Don't do me any harm. I am just a poor, weak goat." The big lion replied, "Why do you speak such nonsense? You are not a goat, but a lion, like me." But the little lion did not believe a word of this, and continued wailing incessantly. Finally, the big lion snatched the little one by the scruff of the neck and carried it to a watering hole and said, "Look at your reflection and tell me whether you look like me or like a goat." Here, the little lion finally realized his mistake, and from that time on behaved like a proper lion, and no longer like a goat. This parable shows that often we not only don't recognize the false self-image we have of our true nature, but even deny it. Our Atma, the true self, is itself God. But in the West, we believe that God is a long way away and that we are weak, sinful creatures. To discover our true self, we only need to look in the inner mirror of our soul. But many are too afraid and deliberately close their eyes. It is our destiny to claim our divine inheritance. Instead, we prefer to eke out a poor and wretched existence. There is another story that illustrates this clearly. An elderly couple who lived in great poverty were in the habit of wandering through the woods every day to gather firewood. One day, Lord Shiva and Parvati, god and goddess of the universe, were also walking in this region. When Parvati saw the pitiable pair, she was seized by deep compassion. Her mother's heart hurt with the sight of them both, and she became angry with Shiva because he allowed no help to come to these pious and thoroughly decent people. Reproachfully, she said to him, "Truly, I do not understand you. You throw gold after bad people, even when they disown and ridicule you. And these two who are pious and devoted remain destitute. Give them something so that they do not continue to live in want and are able to spend a peaceful old age." "You do not understand," answered Shiva. "I really would like to give them everything, but they would not accept it." Unbelievingly, Parvati shook her head, but Shiva said he could prove it to her right now, and lay a pile of gold coins on the path that both of the old people would take. He then hid with Parvati behind a bush to observe further events. While walking, the old people chatted with one another about this and that. Suddenly, the old woman asked, "How does a blind person actually find their way around the woods? One day it could really happen that we are also blind. Let us try it once to see how it would be." "Good. Count me in," said the man. "We can blindfold ourselves with cloth. I'll take a stick to find the way. You place your hand on my shoulder and follow me." No sooner said than done. Now, as they both came towards the gold, they naturally did not see it, and painfully kicked their feet against it. "Blast it!" they shouted. "What stupid and thoughtless person puts stones in the middle of the path without considering that blind people also walk here and could injure themselves?" Sighing, Shiva turned towards Parvati and asked, "Do you believe me now? It has happened repeatedly in this way until I abandoned trying to give anything to these two." How often does God offer us a valuable opportunity directly, at our feet, but we are not aware of it? Sometimes we are struck completely by blindness and so miss the best opportunity of our life. That is what is meant by Avarana here. To look away at precisely the wrong moment, or to give up just one step away from fulfillment. Avarana is also our doubts and fears, the inner feelings of loneliness and hopelessness, as well as prejudice, intolerance, intellectual bias, and much more. Avarana has many facets that all have one thing in common. They prevent the vision of the one reality, God. But how can we get rid of these three stumbling stones of Mala, Vikshepa, and Avarana? First, mental impurities, Mala, are purified through satsang, meaning spiritual society and gatherings, mantra and prayer. Inner disturbances, Vikshepa, are counteracted with a positive mental attitude through relaxation, concentration, and meditation. And the veil of ignorance, Avarana, is penetrated with faith and trust as we follow the words of a spiritual teacher and spiritual scriptures, breaking down the inner barriers and prejudices and opening to new experiences. A simple and extremely effective spiritual practice that frees us from Mala, Vikshepa, and Avarana can be practiced very easily by anyone in everyday life, and that is called Anupasana. Anu means a tiny little part, an atomic particle. Upasana means to follow, to perform, to practice, to start on something. So Anupasana is a small resolve that barely costs any time or expenditure, but with regular practice brings invaluable benefits. It promotes spiritual development, develops willpower and self-confidence, purifies our inner field, and protects against internal and external disturbances. Practice something that you would like to do that is of benefit to yourself or another every day. It doesn't need to be some great undertaking. Begin with little steps. For example, change an unhealthy habit. Drink fewer cups of coffee or eat fewer sweets. Begin to build up good spiritual habits. For example, saying your mantra 5 times when you get up, before each meal, and before sleeping. Do something for nature and animals. Feed the birds and woodland creatures whenever the opportunity presents itself. Within your family, willingly do one extra thing that you have previously avoided. Or turn your attention to fellow humans with more love. Create a little joy for a colleague you have not previously paid any attention to, or similar acts of kindness. There are thousands of possibilities for delighting others and ourselves through small, loving gestures. Accomplish these with the thought, I am not the doer. It is God who is doing through me. God alone is the doer. Even the smallest endeavor bears rich fruit through the grace of God. And we'll pause our reading of The Hidden Power in Humans there for now. Thank you for listening. What a wonderful exposition on the 3 obstacles in the spiritual path, and lovely stories about the lion and goat and the elderly couple, Shiva and Parvati. Next time we'll read about the 3 tapas, the 3 forces of destiny. So far, this has been a must-have book. I'm very grateful for its author, Paramahant Swami Maheshwarananda, and one of his wonderful devotees, Ushabai, for sending this to me all the way from Serbia. Om Namah Shivaya. Well, I almost ended the live instead of just ending the little recording for that segment. Glad I didn't do that. I hope you enjoyed that. No, thank you, Charlotte, for the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 roses, I think, that you sent while we were reading. Om Namah Shakti Shivaya. Salutations to the power and potential of the universe. Thank you, dear Vanessa, for your tiny. And thank you, Nikki, for your rose. Hariom Tatsat. Ragnahildur, thank you for your community fest also. Jai Sitaram. And thank you, Banjo Farts, for your heart meat. And thank you, dear MJ, for your paper crane. Om Dum Durgaye Namaha. Thank you for your good night wishes, Barbara. All the same to you. And thank you, Sultana, for sharing your peace and love to us all. Muffins, you had asked, am I afraid of anything? Of course. In fact, I feel afraid of everything sometimes. Such is the nature of anxiety. But I try to be like brave people. A brave person is not necessarily one without fear. It's just that their courage is from where they act. They may still feel fear, but they act out of a different feeling. Sometimes I have fears that are with me the whole day. But if I'm feeling brave, I can still accomplish everything I want to do in a day. Oh, that's a wonderful way of putting that, Doom Knight. Bravery is mastery of fear, not absence of it. I like that. Now, thank you, dear Michelle, for your subscription. You are a wonderful guest, and I love all of the personality you bring here. I'm very fortunate to have had our paths crossed, and I look forward to our future adventures spiritually. Now, how do you use the stickers, you're wondering? It's a good question. I'm afraid I don't know. How the live looks for me is very different for you, so I think someone else might have to tell you how to use your stickers, which is ironic. But I do hope you like them. Now, Federica, thank you for your heart meat as well. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Looks like there's a little star to the left of the chat box. Or to the right. Not the left. Your other left. Muffins, you're wondering, have I ever had stage fright? I don't know. I've been on stages before, when I was a kid. I enjoyed it, actually. Because I knew I had the potential to make people laugh, even if it was at the expense of me being awkward. I knew that either I was going to be funny or awkward, but awkwardness is funny to a large crowd too, so either way I'd make people laugh. And thank you. I forget your name. It's very wonderful. It looks like runes. Orski. Thank you for the let 'em cook that you sent a few minutes ago. Radhe Radhe. But you asked, do I believe in a divine unknown intelligence, or a divinity in the temporal indifference. In parentheses, atheism. Well, you use such fancy terms. I'm afraid my beliefs are much more simpler than they are technical. In many ways, you could consider the divine unknown. Why? Because it's that which knows all but cannot be known, that which sees all but cannot be seen, that which hears all but cannot be heard. Sounds abstract, but there's a real practical way of understanding this. It is the very inner source of your own consciousness. That witness within you, peering out through all of your five senses, is the very same source from which this whole world has come. This witness inside us too is that which sees all but cannot be seen, hears all but cannot be heard, knows all but cannot be known. You can know your thoughts, and you can even think about the knower, but can you know the knower directly? Can the one which is doing the understanding be understood by itself? Necessarily there is a distinction between the subject of our experience and the object of our experience. This is to say, God is not the object of our experience, not on this side of the experience, but the inside, the supreme subject to whom it all occurs to. Therefore, fire cannot burn him, water cannot wet him, wind cannot dry him, a sword cannot pierce him. He is not comprised of flesh and bones which sleeps, decays, and dies, but is the immortal consciousness, the Lord of the earth and skies. To that one, there is no time. There is only this moment, which is simultaneously the culmination of all past events, as it is the seed for all future happenstance. In a way, both the past and the future exist now. So there are qualities on either side of the disjunction that you have offered that we can associate with that source. Josend, you're wondering if I can send you on a quest like I sent those other guys on quests. Sure. Why don't you find me a rock? And using some implement that can draw on a rock, like a marker or paint, draw me your favorite symbol, and then send me a picture of your favorite symbol on a rock. That's my quest for you. I'd love to see it. Thank you, Zach, for the rose you sent minutes ago. Hare Krishna. And B525, thank you for that rose. Hari Om Tat Sat. Dear Ushabai, thank you for your rose and quartet of tiny tinies. Yahoo! Banjo Farts, thank you for another best team. And John F, thank you for your heart mate. Om Bhur Bhuvasvaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yonah Prachodayat. And Gulai, thank you for your rose. Hare Krishna. Wonderful. I look forward to it, Yosan. And thank you, dear Dagger, for your rose too. Hello, Sleepy Panda Baby. Mirto, you ask. Hello. Your parents give you a lot of negative energy. How can you handle it? By not accepting it. It's yours. Keep it. Your duty as a parent is to have the generational trauma, all the negativity end there. From our parents, only accept positivity. They can berate you, they can call you this, that, or some other thing. But if it's anything but positive, turn your ears off. Perhaps they have forgotten. But the goal in bringing your body into this world was to fill it with love and joy and peace. So we should only accept those things from our parents. Sometimes love and joy and peace come from tough love. But I assume you are old enough now to distinguish between tough love and genuine abuse or a lack of space to hold your own emotions. But yes, you are not entitled to the negativity of your parents. That's theirs. If people say negative things and they share it with you, does that say something about them or you? It says something about them, doesn't it? Therefore, their negativity is theirs. It's not yours. You share that they are very authoritarian, very religious too, orthodox. Perhaps that works for them, but in your heart, if you know that you require some freedom to expand into your potential, I trust your judgment. And the divine parents do too. They want to show you power. Oh, the greatest power is your undivided peace. Your power to be unmoved by negativity. The most powerful thing that a person can say is nothing at all. The most powerful painting is one which is still a canvas. The most powerful dance is the stage itself, ever still. Show them that power. Thank you, Michelle, for your quintet of tiny tinies. That's what they sound like. And your pair of cloud breads and a finger heart. Thank you. Radhe, Radhe. And Loopy Lane, thank you for your bubble tea and cake. Very sweet. Literally. Om Kring Kalikai Namaha. Thank you, Peter, for your pair of roses too. Mirto, you share, you paint and dance. Well, all the potential is within you. May you be empowered in other ways. Sometimes parental empowerment takes detours. It's supposed to be given from the source to our parents, through our ancestors, and to us, but there's lots of construction happening on the road, and I guess that love is given in other directions. All the same love gets to you, all the same empowerment. Sometimes parallel to our biological family, but don't worry, it all gets to you just the same. Magdalene, you share that you were visited by a kaleidoscope of butterflies in your dream last night. They were resting on your hands. That's so beautiful. I love that. How wonderful would it be to witness your dream? Sounds like you are very blessed. John F., thank you for your friendship necklace, your finger heart, and your tiny. Yippee! Jace, you ask, with so much suffering around, how do we rise above? Do we ignore it? We would be failing in being the best versions of ourselves by not attending to the suffering. By rising above it, it does not mean we are beyond it. It means that we no longer let it weigh us down, but we still engage in service to others. Why? It's a bit of a secret. And it's not because we have to do it or we should. Something very divine about helping others. Very subtle and actually deeply philosophical. When we are engaged in service, when we are engaged in giving, what does that imply? What assumption is made there? The implication is that we have enough to give. That there is something within us that's able of expanding, reaching out, and uplifting. By helping others, by serving others, we literally invoke the source within us. Because that's what it means to have a source. It means to have this latent potential which can go out and give and expand. That we require nothing but the opportunity to merely express that from within. So we do rise above by embodying that source and going out and help in service. And that doesn't mean that you have to go on the front lines of some conflict, necessarily, unless that's your calling. But for many people, it means having emotional space for your loved ones. It means helping that little bird that flew into the window. It means ending the cycles of generational trauma. Even little things like this express our divine potential, where we become a reservoir of support, of compassion. I trust that makes sense. Matija, thank you for your 7th community fest that you sent. Om Shri Mahalakshmi Namaha. Michelle, you want to mail me one of your crystal tiny necklaces? That's very sweet. You definitely don't have to. Thank you, Andrea, for your 6 finger hearts too. There's some for you as well. You make them? That's very interesting. Well, you didn't tell me that. I love that. That makes perfect sense. I'm glad it makes sense. Sunflower Dream Haze, you're wondering why reservoir? Oh, who knows what goes into my specific word choice, but it's a lovely synonym for a source, isn't it? It's a great body, has potential energy. It is latent with the ability to go forth and pour into the hearts of those around. And Natalka, you were so happy to find one of my math raps available again. Such a fun listen. No, I'm happy that it brings you joy. Speaking of which, I have made some songs before Smelly. And as Natalka had implied, one of them is available on my profile at this moment. And thank you, Andrea, for your 7 roses too. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. And Ashley, thank you for your community fast and heart me. Hariom Tatsat. And Anna, thank you for your rose. Aww. Thank you for listening, Eleni. G to infinity, you share the pink aura energy is very healing and compassionate for everyone. Oh, I love the colors of blue and pink for live streams. It's, I don't know what it is. It's very, I guess, new agey. A little bit. All to do with the higher chakras. Smelly, you're wondering, do I have a religion? I think I was born into this world having nothing. Unless I shall leave this world having nothing too. I take with me only the quality of my actions in this life. And even then, they are not my possession, for I am theirs. So, beyond religion, I strive to have quality engagement with this world. And if that means supporting someone in their path of religious freedom, in faithful expression, then I am not here to direct them to another path, but empower them. I wish to engage in this world such that I make it a more inclusive space from when I was born into it. Thus I leave it in a better place than I found it. Hello, Marlon. Thank you, Innovation, for your heart me. Om Shri Hanumate Namaha. Star emoji. Keelan. you shared that. You feel like you understand what I'm saying and nothing at the same time. I love to hear that. It's the right way to listen, I think. Thank you, Allison Parks, for your tiny Yahoo! And your flowers. And a friendship necklace. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Have I drank any water today? Asks Marlin. I don't think I have. Thank you for reminding me, big sister. Namaskar, Viri. Allison, you love the way I speak. Well, I think it's a miracle that we are able to understand each other through the sounds that we make. Such a funny association it is between modulations of the vocal cord and twists and taps of the tongue and teeth and lips and cognizant concepts that convey my experience to you. What a concept. And Michelle, you're wondering if I'm eating and sleeping well these days. I am eating a little less than before, since the medication I was on helped with my appetite. And going off of it has led me to eat a little less than normal. But my sleep has been improving in the last week. The same medication was responsible for sleeping. So there was a period in which my sleep was getting a little more chaotic, but my sleep is slowly returning to normal. I hope my appetite does as well. Thank you for asking. And thank you, Allison Parks, for your square of 25 roses. Om Shri Hanumate Namaha. Speech is such a miracle, isn't it, Very? Smelly, you were wondering if I do any podcasts. Seems like everyone has a podcast these days, but except for me. But some people invite me on them, and I like to participate as a guest. And Delaney, you share that once a few months ago I came to you in a lucid version of dream or vision and showed you who you are. Wow. Oh, I wish I was the person that many people dream that I am. It's very humbling, and I'm very grateful that I had such a positive impression on you. And good night, Sultana of the Sahara. Thank you for your company. Marlon, you had mentioned that you are sad and really mad at the same time right now. I would lean into that sadness. All your emotions are valid. Sadness can be a big relief, a release too. It can help diffuse the intensity of the anger. Just a suggestion, but you are free to do with your emotions as you deem fit, and I trust your judgment. But thank you for sharing that. This too shall pass. I'm happy to have you here, Keelan, if I'm pronouncing your name right. You let me know. And thank you, Allison, for your community crown. I appreciate that, and I appreciate you. Radhe, Radhe. I said it right. Oh, good. Marlon, you share that your cat was hurt by some mean person over the weekend. That is very saddening and maddening. How is your cat doing now? They trimmed his claws really badly. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. We have to be very careful with cats' claws. I do know that. They were bleeding. I'm very sorry for your kitty. I trust that they will grow back in time and heal. And your duty as a friend and lover of such a wonderful being is to be there for them and comfort them, give them soft affection. And that's really frustrating when we place someone or something we love in the hands of another with trust, and we feel like we made bad judgments. We feel like we can't trust again. And I'm sure your cat is feeling like they're wondering what happened, why this happened. Make sure you give them lots of treats and love. Brandon, you share, you are 2 days clean again, starting over once again. That's great. I'm so happy to hear your passion in trying more. That's wonderful. You've proven that you really have that potential in you to go and continue striving for your health and your well-being. Your effort is well worth it, so thank you for sharing. Thank you, Jay, for your hanging lights too. Radhe or Radhe. It is not about how many times you fall or didn't fall, as long as you keep getting back up again. The waves continue to crash, but they get smaller and smaller, and sooner or later you find your balance. The best thing you can do is forgive yourself. Of course, we can acknowledge that there were mistakes, but you're absolutely allowed to make them. No expectation to be perfect. And we know what we can do better next time. Thank you, Savannah, for your lovely rose. Hare Krishna. And thank you, Allison. Did I thank you for the 25 roses? You sent another 25. That's what was confusing me. Thank you for another 25 of them. It's a good number. But even an emoji rose is enough for me. Om Namah Shakti Shivaya. I believe in you, Brandon. Thank you, Babblefishy, for your 10 roses too. Om Namah Shakti Shivaya. Thank you for your roses tonight. And thank you, Alison Parks, for your finger heart. Radhe, Radhe. Derek, you share that your grandma passed away today. You know she lives on through you, through us, but it's still hard. Absolutely. And although this higher knowledge may not take away the pain, it allows us to bear it with a little bit of peace, and that goes a long way. We can know that in time we can heal. But in the moment it's still tough, and that difficulty is allowed no matter how wise you are. And this is a time for grief and a celebration. We mourn for her death, but we celebrate for her life. Hello, Jocelyn. Keelan, you asked, how do I personally feel comfort in the unknown? Breakups, death, etc. Personally, they're not comfortable. I'm not sure if any breakup or parting with a loved one has been a comfortable experience. They've all been uncomfortable. But they're allowed to be that way. Discomfort is a mark of life, and that life is worth living, even amidst such intense experiences. We have periods of intense emotion in our life, and there are periods of rest as well. Overall, we can say that it balances out, but in the moment, they are difficult moments to deal with. These periods of uncertainty. In the uncertainty, of course, we fear for what may happen, or become attached to what has happened and continue to mourn. But beyond memory and beyond imagination, in this moment there is only possibility. We may fear the dark because we don't know what kind of monsters are hiding. But sometimes the universe gives us darkness so that we may shine our light upon it. It is not that we are lonely, desolate souls that need our hands guided to be pulled along the path to light. We have all of the light that we need inside. We just need a little help getting it out. And you may not realize that light within you without some darkness. But once you find it, how can it ever leave you? Since it is the very source which illuminates your being from the inside out. It is a funny place to find comfort, Derek, but hey, might as well. And thank you, AB, for the W you sent a few minutes ago. Om Dum Durgaye Namaha. And Daniel, thank you for your heart me. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Catherine, for your heart me too. Hare Rama. And Iris Live, thank you for your rose. Jai Satchitanandam. And thank you, Allison, for the love you. I love you too. And Babel Fishy, thank you for your heart me. Radhe o Radhe. And Brandon Rogers, thank you for your 20 roses. Marlon, you share your niece had noticed your cat limping on Sunday morning. Yesterday you realized it was from his claws, trimmed badly. Well, I hope your niece knows that they did a good thing by being aware of the limp. It shows that she has lots of love and spends good care paying attention to your cat. I hope that she knows that it's gonna be okay, and that the cat is hurt physically, maybe even emotionally, but it will heal. We are adaptable creatures. A user by the name of Ha 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 Ha. You ask, what happens after you die? I don't know. What happens before you were born? I imagine that whatever the answer is to both questions, they are the same. And Viri, you shared that you've been struggling with your gender identity recently, but you think it's brought you closer to Ma Parvati. Well, speaking of Shiva, Shiva is famously half man, half woman. When he is feeling feminine, he is seen like this. He is dancing. And in fact, he is dancing over his masculine self, which you can see is seen there on the ground. And when he is feeling masculine, he is seated in meditation, meditating, and probably ignoring Parvati, and she gets angry about that sometimes. That's actually why Parvati is Parvati. You know, Shiva had 2 wives in story, and his first wife was Sati. But Shiva was meditating so hard that Sati felt ignored, so she jumped in fire, and thus became known as the Sati sacrifice. But she was reborn as Parvati, and she was able to marry Shiva again. Shiva was distraught when he left his meditation. But that is the duality of Shiva. Either he is dancing over his masculinity as the feminine, or he is meditating apart from his femininity. But they are one. Shiva and Shakti, Shiva and Parvati, Shiva and Sati, they are one. They are inseparable. but it does exist on a spectrum. However, Shiva can also be seen representing both. For example, in this very abstract Shiva Lingam, this part represents the masculine component. And if you look on it from this angle, this represents the feminine component. You know, this could be the I'm forgetting my terminology for feminine reproductive organs. Anyway, maybe it is best that we don't go into that. But here we have both the masculine and the feminine coming together, merging as one, and this is Shiva, all the same. This is the yoni, yes. Thank you, Meta Mystic. Lingam, yoni. Thank you, Savannah, for the disco love you sent a few minutes ago. Hari Om Tat Sat. And VYV Fragrance, thank you for your rose. Hare Krishna. And thank you, Ryan, for your rose too. Radhe O Radhe. Now, J-Dog, you were wondering, what is the best source of Eastern esoteric knowledge that I would recommend? And you also ask, how often do I meditate per day? Well, of course, the best source is going there. Find a master who will take you up as their disciple. Study, practice. But in absence of one, we could read stories about them. Or if you're feeling brave, you could even read scriptures. The name for esoteric practices is Tantra. And there are many tantric texts that you can pick up. In the digital age, a lot of them are online and translated in English too. One that's very nice is the Vijnana Bhairava Tantra. Jnana means knowledge, so Vijnana means something which is beyond knowledge, you could say. Bhairava refers to a secret form of Shiva, and Tantra is the esoteric knowledge. So the Vijnana Bhairava Tantra is the esoteric knowledge, beyond knowledge of Bhairava. It's a series of 112 different ways to reach moksha, liberation. I think I actually have the text somewhere around me. I think it's on the floor behind you. And thank you, Ryan, for your rose. I can spell that out. I realize it's not very transliteratable. Put it in chat. Vijnana Bhairava Tantra. Am I just surrounded by books? You know, for some reason I am. Yeah, I feel like I'm absorbing their knowledge just in their presence. I do have dozens of books around me. Thank you, Kiki, for your rose, and J-Dog for your finger heart. Thank you. Hari Om Tat Sat. Kiki, you share that I didn't thank you for your rose. Sometimes it takes me a few minutes to finish whatever I'm going off about. I am sorry, but I thank you for your patience. My hair is kind of fluffy tonight, isn't it, Sus? Suspicious bee. Hello, Pesto. Guy, you had asked, what is the difference between a yogi and a master? Well, of course, a master can be used for any discipline. A yogi is a master of yoga. But you also don't have to be a master to be called a yogi. As Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, that someone who is sincerely aspiring to be enlightened is a yogi, even if they're not quite there yet. A spiritual seeker striving for yoga, for union, is a yogi. No Vanity, welcome back. You asked, do I have any idea why music has been getting in sync with the physical for you lately? I suppose music carries vibration, as everything does, and because it means so much to you, you find a lot of expression in the truths of your life through it, and that's beautiful. Lilu, you are wondering, am I in a relationship? Genuine question, I believe you. I assume you mean a romantic or an intimate relationship, as I have relationships with everyone, with all of you, with my mom, with my cat, just a different kind of relationship than the one you're probably thinking of. No, I do not. I have had many in my life so far, and at this moment, my heart feels satisfied giving it very openly to the world, you could say, to everyone in my life, and that includes you all. I think something beautiful can happen when you concentrate that love on one spot and see what kind of growth happens there, whether it be a plant or a child or a significant other. But I just have so much love in my heart. I don't know if there's a single person in the world that can fit all the love I have for them. So I have to give it more openly. Then my heart is fully exercised in giving. And how is my plant? Yes, I do have one of those too. She is doing wonderful. Thank you for asking. Very big. And Lilu, you were wondering if it was to do with my path of religion. With my path of spirituality, my love has been spiritualized in a sense, and there are kinds of love I'm beginning to discover that go beyond personal intimacy, although there's absolutely places for that in life. But if you're wondering if I have taken any vows as of yet, the answer is no. Maybe one day. Thank you, Strawberry Star Bunny, for your pair of roses. I just love that you kept your name. And thank you, VYV Fragrance, for another rose from you. Hariom Tatsat. Yosand, you ask, if we see everything as opportunities, where should we draw the line so as to not overexert ourselves? By recognizing that any opportunity may give rise to a full expression, that you can give the entirety of yourself into a single thing. You don't have to do this and that and this and that and this and that and this and that and this and that to become fully expressed. That is one way. But you could also take one opportunity and give yourself wholly to that. Which is kind of the complement of what we were just talking about, love. With love, we can narrow it down one-pointedly. We can give it super exclusively and concentrate it like a laser beam and see what happens. And with opportunities, we can have that wide range and isolate it to one form of expression. We give ourselves wholly into one thing. That's a beautiful duality. That way you don't have to have one foot over here and another foot over there. Because you can find 100% capacity to express yourself, even in a single dimension. Thank you, Brandon Rogers, for your rose and hand hearts. Hari Om Tat Sat. Now, Brandon, you ask, what do I believe the point of life is? Now, that's quite the question, isn't it? Let's make some observations about the question itself before we go in search of an answer. Isn't it interesting that we can even ask this question? It's not that we are born with an answer, clearly, but we are born with the question. And that's pretty amazing. We come into this existence with questions, with wonder. Ironically, that seems pretty on point. That seems pretty purposeful, pretty meaningful. So when we do ask questions like, what is the point of life? What is the meaning? What is the purpose? To ask that question almost answers the question, because we have the capacity to wonder, to be immersed in possibility, in potential, and there's a certain freedom surrounding that. It's not decided for us. We have been graced with the ability to follow that question in many directions. And I think that's beautiful. In many ways, that does make it just a circle of questions with no answers. Not to feel trapped in the cycle, though. As you say, it does make it exciting. But if there was an answer, it would be a kind of conclusion. It would be a kind of ending. But if there's one vibration of life that's so clear, is that life is all about beginnings, all about becoming, newness, embarking, rather than coming to some end. There is an ongoing expression, as though there were an eternity of forms to express, things to do. We don't have to do all of it at once, we cannot. But in this moment we have been allotted something new to do. Every day is a unique journey. I cannot tell you where it all leads, because I'm in the same moment as you, on the journey, not at the destination, but I can say that I look forward to how it evolves and how my expectations will be shattered again and again as I discover new things. Thank you, Kiki, for your pair of roses and a finger heart. There's one for you. Hare Ram. Thank you, Brandon, for another trio of roses. And Babblefishy, thank you for your finger heart and your pair of roses too. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Brandon, you share you're not sure how old I am, but you're 38 now and still don't have a clue what's going on. Oh, I'm younger than you, 22, but yeah, I have equally no clue what's going on. However, I feel like I'm learning that I don't have to. Just as we have been born with all the questions but none of the answers, I feel empowered to revel in the mystery, because clearly I'm allowed to be here without having an answer. It's not like there's some test where the universe says, have you figured it out yet? As if there were something to figure out. And then I get taken out, not allowed to be here. Only people who know what they're doing are allowed to be here. On the contrary, I think everybody here on this planet, in this universe, is a part of that same sentiment that we have no clue what's going on. And in many ways, that's what makes it amazing. We're doing pretty good, considering, I think. But little things make sense. Big things overwhelm us. What makes sense to me is that I have the capacity to be kind and listen to others. In any moment I can choose between love or fear. Love and fear. There are things about myself I can work on, like how patient I am, how caring I am, how understanding I am. It makes sense to me to work on those things. I might not know the ultimate expansion of those things, what all of these things are leading to, but in the moment, this is what I've been allotted. Here are my faults. These are all the virtues I can aspire to attain. Might as well work on one thing at a time. Thank you, green eggs and fried brains, for your heart me. Radhe Radhe. And thank you, J-Dog, for your rose. Savannah, you share that you have mentioned you have ADHD. You are learning every day how to manage your emotions. Do I have any advice for that? I know you are doing the best you can, and that's enough. You said you're learning every day? Well, sounds like every day you can be learning, you are. Therefore, there are no other days which you could be learning. So how can I give you advice when you are already doing the best you can? I suppose one piece of advice is to not doubt yourself. If you are doubting your ability to learn every day, that is your birthright. That is why we have a new day every day, to learn something new. So you're doing good. Just keep doing what you're doing. Thank you, Brandon, for your 70 plus 18 plus 7 roses. Hare Krishna. Savannah, you hyperfixated on it, not gonna lie, but it helps. It's funny how we call it an attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, but there are just as many moments where your attention is very much there and you are underactive or perfectly active. It's just what it looks like to others that don't have it. Do we call it ADHD? But from your life, you're just you. To you, your mind works in a normal way. Sometimes your mind is hyperactive, sometimes underactive. Sometimes your attention is very concentrated, sometimes it's dispersed. It's like two halves of the brain fighting constantly. And that's totally natural. We always have two aspects of ourselves in conflict. These two conflicts, or these two aspects in conflict, just take place at different levels for different people. The conflict between these two forces may take place on the level of someone's attention. It may take place on the level of someone's energy. It may take place on the level of their identity. Every one of us is going through a conflict of some duality at any time. But one way which we can bring these two sides together is doing this with our hands, seriously. They say our left brain controls our right hand. Our right brain controls our left hand. Just bringing them together. It's one of the most simple spiritual practices. Anything which we're conflicted about, just bring our hands together in that moment. Anything that we love, anything that we're grateful for, thank you, J-Dog to Infinity, for your sunglasses. Is that the same J-Dog? Did you change your name and profile picture, or do we have two J-Dogs here? But you sent sunglasses, thank you for that. And a half dozen tiny dinies. Yippee! Thank you. Thank you, Shakira, for your heart me and tiny diny too. Yahoo! Welcome. And Hanaki, thank you for your heart me. Jai Sitaram. Gaia, you ask, how do you know you're on a path? Well, you're either on one or you're making your own. Like when you're going hiking in the woods, you're either on one that someone has been on before, or if you go off, then you're just making your own, aren't you? But at no time are you not on a path. When you're on your own, it can be a bit of a gamble. You might not know where you're going, and You don't have proof that people have been where you are before. Such is why there are gatherings of people who walk parallel to each other on the spiritual path. We call that a community. And if it gets bigger, maybe a ministry or an organization or a tradition. If it gets really big and the trail widens and they put in dividers and make it a multi-lane highway, we call it a religion. But the point is not the path you take necessarily, as it is what accommodates your footsteps the best. If you want to be a trailblazer, the only thing stopping you is your own self-doubt. But you are always on a path, either charted or not. Thank you, Anazek, for your trio of roses. Om Shri Mahalakshmaya Namaha. And Gulai, thank you for your rose. Radhe Radhe. Good night, Lurpasarn. I certainly could have pronounced your name better, but thank you. Have a good night, my friend. Thank you, John F., for the rosa. Hare Krishna. And J-Dog. Now you definitely changed your username. Sorry, your profile picture. Thank you for the hat and mustache. Om Brahm Bhairavaya Namo Namaha. I feel like we might have indirectly answered Katrina Hamilton Smith's question as you asked, how do you know you're on the right path? You feel stuck, lost, and agitated. That can be a part of the path. Absolutely. Sometimes the path narrows, sometimes it becomes treacherous. I imagine that those on their way to surmount Mount Everest experience all the same feelings that you are, in different ways. Of course, instead of going to the top of the mountain, we are climbing to a different height, a spiritual height. And the term height does make sense because it provides us with a higher view in which we can look from a perspective which widens and accommodates a wider range of experiences. If you feel lonely, you're not alone in feeling that way. The Buddhists call it the genuine heart of sadness that awakens on the spiritual journey. We might expect that we become better emotional managers and that joy becomes predominant and sadness and anger and fear drop away. But in other ways, we come full contact with all of our fears. And for a while, we might become even more sad, more angry, more afraid. And that does not necessarily imply that you're on the wrong path. It means that you're going up. You're just facing all your fears, everything that upsets you. It means you're diving deep into the thick of it, and you are safe. Your effort to persevere is going to take you wherever you need to go. You will survive. And Hanaki, you were wondering what's on my shirt. You're trying to read it. Looks like my name. Oh, my hair and microphone is covering it. It says, I am what I am. Now, Kims, you are wondering, fascinating question. Can trees give consent? Have you ever heard the story of the giving tree? Or the quote that a tree gives shade to even the one cutting it down? Clearly, a tree has not evolved a way to defend itself. There are ways in which a tree has evolved to stand up tall and firm and evade being blown down by the wind or being eaten by beavers. But a tree is so selfless that it doesn't even try to stop you from cutting it down. It was never guided that way by the forces of nature. Plants are truly selfless beings in that way. They have no intent on uprooting themselves and smacking you for doing something. But if you really aren't supposed to touch it, they'll be poisonous or something, or full of thorns. It's a passive defense mechanism. We can take refuge in a tree. I learned that from the Buddhist teacher, Thich Nhat Hanh. He said that you can find the whole universe in a tree. When you look at a tree, you can see the sun and all of its leaves. You can see the soil, the earth, and all of its roots. You can see the clouds, the rain, and all of its branches. For a tree to exist, for the conditions to be right, for the tree to arise in this way, the whole universe had to exist for it. So you can find everything that isn't a tree in the tree. You can take refuge under it. By taking refuge under a tree, in a way, you are taking refuge in the whole universe. This is true for the tree as it is for a flower. You can take refuge in anything as long as you see the source of the whole creation in it. And that's what makes a source, is it's omnipresent. That potential for you to discover everything is there within anything. Thank you, Jacqueline, for the pair of roses you sent just a moment ago. Hare Krishna. In a vision, thank you for your cloud bread. Jai Sitaram. Trisha, you share that you find trees so amazing. You can even know its age by the rings in its trunk. I love that. I love little facts like that too. That's so cool. Wesley, you share you should be sleeping, but you can listen to me all night. Although I hope you do get the rest you deserve, I'm happy that you feel like another kind of rest is available for you in this space. Emotional rest, perhaps. Spiritual rest. And Hanaki, it's very funny how everyone reacts on your you yam message. That is very funny. Yes, I'm very grateful. One of you sent me a picture of this in a thrift shop. They thought of me. And the fact that they thought of me was touching. But then they thought to send a picture of it to me. And that's amazing. And then they even sent it to me. Oh, I'm beyond enamored with such generosity. I think it's a pretty hilarious shirt. I am. But you know what's extra lovely about this shirt? Is that when I was looking in the mirror, all of these letters are reversible. They're symmetric. So it says, may I am. May I? And thank you, Trainadora Sarah, for your tiny. I don't know what that was. I may. Yeah. Thank you, Eden. May I yam? Yam I may. Some good palindromes. Well, we're just about to hit the 2-hour mark, so I think it would be a good time to begin to wrap things up for tonight. I'm very grateful that I got this opportunity to be with you all. I will hopefully be here tomorrow. Hexakin, you share, you won't harass me again after this. Your questions are not harassment, don't worry. But what is my view on ETs? On electric tomography. That's an interesting concept. I mean, the medical imaging field has not been the same since we had various... Oh, you mean extraterrestrials? Yeah, different kind of ET. Well, all I know is I'm born a human. My fellow humans, my fellow animals have my love and support. Mother Earth is my home. But if I ever meet an ET, you know, I assume I could reserve some love for them too. I don't see why not. We're part of the same universe or solar system. Just as I have love for my fellow Earthlings, I suppose I could have some love for my fellow Milky Way inhabitants. No reason for the love to stop there. And I love that, Don Suelo. We should all refer to ourselves as a verb, as a reminder that we are all the doers in our lives. That's beautiful. Thank you for allowing me to have some fun with the question. Thank you, Laura, for your rose, Vanessa for your trio of roses, and Anazek for your rose too. Radhe o Radhe. And thank you, Sue, for your friendship necklace. Om Dum Durgaye Namaha. So I have a question of the day for you all. Probably the longest worded one, but it's a simple one actually. What is a likable, unique and unspoken trait of your best friend? Or someone that you love? Bring someone to mind in all their uniqueness. Maybe it's a brother, a sister, son or daughter, a mother or father. or a parent or a sibling or a child. Maybe it's a friend, a coworker, a best friend, someone that's important to you. Think of all their unique characteristic charms. What's something that's personal to them that maybe doesn't get spoken a lot about or acknowledged, but you see and observe and you like? I'll let you think about it. When I asked this at the beginning of the live, it took a while for people to think about it. But I think it's an important question. Thank you, Drenadora Sarah. You have a good night. Good night, Hexakin. Wesley, you wish you had my positivity. Well, it's all yours. I don't own it. I'm happy to share it with you. Shakira, you share their thoughtfulness. And only asking yourself this question is already a good thing. It's super important. I love that. You're welcome to point out such a trait within yourself too, as we are our own best friends. Marcy, you share versatility. Oh, I love that. Yeah. That's a great quality. And Abby, you share your partner. He just always mocks you. And when you mention it, he tells you that it's because he admires you. Aww. That's sweet. Eden, you share. They may be tired to defend themselves, but never let others or their rights to get oppressed. Powerful. And what a wonderful observation. Gaia, you share the ability to tap into the unknown. Sue, you share her ability to make others feel comfortable. G to infinity, you share everything, every aspect. Otherwise, they wouldn't be your friend. I love that. Alejandra, you share being a leader. Denise, you share if you cry, your bestie cries without knowing why, then you both end up laughing over your deep friendship. That's so beautiful. Wow. Brianna, you share eloquent. I like that. Good quality. Ragnhildur, you share their honesty. RJ Rose, you share grace and awareness. Neo, you share care. Trainadora, you share their sense of humor. Speaking of which, Uyan, you share if someone has the same type of humor, or if a person understands your humor. I like that. Wesley, you share your partner does so much for you, and you don't ask for any of it, but she does it because of love for you. I'm so happy you feel so loved. That's beautiful. Magdalene, you share the fact that she exists and has welcomed you in as a friend has been enough for your heart to revere. Oh, what a beautiful word choice, to revere. No vanity, you share your father's love is what you love. There is no other like it. Ah, how precious. Angie, you share that your work friend makes you feel important and loved. That sounds like a great work friend. I'm happy you love the energy here, user 990. Hello, Crystal. Welcome back. John F., you share their love. Hello, Sunshine. Michelle, you share that they're humble. And thank you, J-Dog, to infinity for your donut. For your sweet Taurus. Rum rum. Trisha, you share that your friend lives the other end of your country, but always feel like they are next door. Such a great observation that we can be physically apart, but emotionally, spiritually, mentally, so close. Anna, you share, when this person communicates with you through eyes, it shows so much truth. That's beautiful. His love shares sunshine. I love that. Finding grace, you share their care and love even when you are disagreeing. That's super important. Thank you, Eden, for wishing us all a yamtastic rest of our day. Yamtastic, I like that. And Max, you ask, how do we know someone we love is the love of us? Or can you even call it love? Well, there's a funny joke for you. I hope it's a funny joke. Otherwise, it's not much of a joke, I guess. But I'll pause the question of the day for now. But Brave Bella, you're welcome to think about it still, and anyone else. What's the difference between love, lust, and business? When it's all about what you can give, that's love. When it's all about what you can get, that's lust. And when it's just as much about what you can give as it is what you can get, and that's business. Now I can wish that your relationship is not built on lust. And if it's built on business, that's better. But if it's built on love, then that's best. Neither partner is trying to extract anything from the other, only express love. Love. Topic again today. It's always topical. But I'm happy that you relate so much with a G. Now, Annika, you share that they love you was your answer to the question of the day. Thank you for that. And Brave Bella, you share, alright, late, but she knows how to roll with the punches. You feel like it's kind of rare. That is very sacred, to even know someone who's able to be such a role model in that way for you. I'm happy to hear that. And you all are such wonderful friends and lovers, and parents and children, for observing such precious values in another being. That is a trait that I love about all of you. Thank you, Neuroclarity, for your community fest. I love your name. That's such a great word. I've done it again. I've made not a knot. It's a knot that looks like a knot, but it's not a knot. Be a bit of a magic trick. Uh-oh. Well, that was another magic trick, because the other knot didn't even break. Oh well. I was not worthy of untying it. Guess it was a knot. No. It was not a knot. But it required a more gentle touch than pulling tightly. Well, I'd like to end today's live with a short reading from The Hidden Power in Humans. This is a book about chakras and kundalini And in the first chapter, we've been exploring the foundation of yogic thought by introducing many terms such as the pranav, the primordial sound, which divided into purusha, the primordial consciousness, and prakriti, the primordial nature. The primordial nature divided into 5 elements. From akash, space, came vayu, air. Then tejas, fire arose. And then water, apas, and prithvi, earth. And these 5 elements were bound together by 3 energies. The guna of tamas, darkness, the guna of rajas, passion, and the guna of purity, sattva. And from this, different kinds of life forms arose. And the one with the most potential for goodness was the human being. And with that, many supernatural abilities that are possible, and various layers of our being, from the Annamaya Kosha, our physical body, all the way to our Anandamaya Kosha, our blissful body. We talked about karma and the various kinds. Just recently we discussed the 3 kinds of obstacles on the spiritual path. Now we're talking about the 3 tapas, the 3 forces of destiny. We'll continue from there. Three tapas, the 3 forces of destiny. During our lifetime, we occasionally suffer from unfortunate circumstances, accidents, and illnesses that appear to strike us by chance through no fault of our own. These are, in fact, caused by cosmic influences that can throw us off balance physically, psychically, mentally, or spiritually. Although it may appear so to us, these influences are by no means accidental, as they all follow the universal law of karma, just like everything else in life. Therefore, the cause is always in our own mental attitude, our actions, words, and thoughts, from this life or from earlier lives. Generally, we do not have bad intentions, but unfortunately, all too often, the way we act is due to a lack of knowledge and awareness. And so, just as poison still has an effect upon us, even when we take it unknowingly, the unconscious violations of the cosmic law will sooner or later also react upon us, painfully. There are 3 forces of destiny that influence our development from birth. They are called the 3 tapas. 3 meaning 3 and tapas, literally meaning heat, but in the figurative sense, hard discipline. These are adhibhautika, adhidaivika, and adhyatmika. Let's talk about those 3. Adhibhautika are the various disturbances from the external world that stem from nature or living beings. To this belong influences from heat, cold, noise, natural phenomena such as floods, whirlwinds, and earthquakes, as well as attacks by wild animals or violent people, etc. The adhidaivika are disturbing influences from astral forces and beings. For example, these can be the cause of sudden accidents, mental disturbances, fears, and depression. And then there's adhyatmika. These are influences from the vibrational plane of tattvas, the elements themselves. Amongst other things, these are able to trigger off physical illnesses or mental disturbances. By means of astrology and palmistry, the forces of destiny that influence humans can be recognized and interpreted, it is not just the lines on the palms of the hands that reveal to the expert which forces of fate and influences are effective and active within a person, but also numerous other characteristics such as the wrinkles on the forehead and cheeks, around the eyes and mouth, on the soles of the feet, the shape of the nose, and also the way of walking, posture, and physique. Yogis have researched these signs in their meditations. They named them Ratna, jewels in the body. We are able to lessen the disturbances from adhibhautika through certain precautions such as protective walls, padlocks, bolts, etc. However, these measures are ineffective against the forces of adhidaivika and adhyatmika. Just as you could be in a perfectly safe house, but still feel depressed or anxious. We can only protect ourselves against these through prayer, mantra, and Shat-sampati. That's a new word for me. The 6 treasures. Let's talk about those 6 treasures. The Shat-sampati. Hidden within us lies 6 very special abilities that help us overcome the influence of the 3 tapas and the barriers of Mala, Vikshepa, and Avarana, which were the 3 spiritual obstacles we talked about last time. What do these treasures consist of, and how can we find them? To discover them requires keen self-observation and training of the consciousness. First, we must find out what prevents us from discovering these inner friends and helpers. Namely, we are hampered by the 4 inner foes: Kama, passion, Krodha, anger, Moha, delusion, and Lobha, greed. Moha, delusion, lays the foundation stone for Kama, Krodha, and Lobha, for passion, anger, and greed. Delusion is the main cause of our mental, psychic, or physical suffering and our attachments. It is the reason for depression, fear, jealousy, and sadness. Attachment is always connected with fear. Even when we are happy, in the present moment, the fear of losing that which we believe is absolutely necessary for our happiness sits deeply within us. The attempt to safeguard and increase our possessions strengthens and nurtures passion and desires within us. The fear of loss leads subsequently to the eruption of anger, jealousy, and hostility. Naturally, we should look after and care about our possessions. Certainly we should love and take care of our children, partner, and friends. But it is important to respect the freedom of everyone, to make no one dependent upon us, and also not to become dependent upon anyone. Attachment is like the spider's web that holds us firmly and stifles us. Please do not misunderstand me. I am not saying that we are not allowed to own things or that we should leave our family and friends. Completely the opposite. With all my heart, I wish everyone a prosperous and happy life. But we should not forget that after death we cannot take even 1 coin with us, and that all worldly relationships are temporary. Now, through the practice of yoga and following ethical principles, we are able to purify the 4 anthakarans that we described: the manas, mind, buddhi, intellect, ahankara, ego, and chitta, consciousness. To overcome false attachments and other qualities mentioned above, and to transform their destructive energy into the good. Thus prepared, we can start to raise Shatsampati, the six treasures, into the daylight. Finally, what are those six treasures? Shama, Dhamma, Shraddha, Titiksha, Uparati, and Samadhana. Let's talk about those six. First of all, Satchampati is one of the four principles of Jnana Yoga, the yoga of knowing wisdom. The other three principles are Viveka, differentiation between reality and unreality, Vairagya, worldly dispassion, desirelessness, renunciation, and Mumukshutva, striving after liberation. Shama is the inner silence and calmness. We achieve this as we withdraw the mind and senses from the bustle of the external world and focus on the inner self. We possess 10 sense organs. Through the 5 senses of knowledge, known as the Gyanendriyas, the ears, eyes, tongue, nose, and skin, we receive impressions from the external world. And with the 5 organs of activity, the Karmendriyas, hands, feet, mouth, and the organs of procreation and excretion, we work outwardly. The second treasure is Dhamma, which means self-control. When we rein in the senses, thoughts and emotions with the intellect, the buddhi, so that they do not gallop away like wild horses. It's actually a Bhagavad Gita reference. We are able to avoid ill-considered actions and spare ourselves from the ensuing problems and suffering. Shraddha is the third treasure. It means trust. Trust is something that is absolutely fundamental to spiritual as well as worldly relationships. Where trust is missing, doubt grows and gradually destroys love. Doubt is like sand in a salad. A salad that has grains of sand mixed with it is inedible, even though it may still appear to be delicious. Therefore, remove your doubts and begin to trust. Who should you trust? Yourself, first of all. Many people have lost their self-confidence. Through the rediscovery of your inner treasures, you also regain your self-confidence. Next, have faith in your path and purpose, so that nothing and no one can undermine it or dissuade you in any way. The way to perfection requires unconditional trust. Once you have decided upon a path, do not allow yourself to be discouraged by difficulties. Be deeply committed to the attainment of what you have resolved to do, and say to yourself with inner certainty, I will make it. Do not think, I will try it. With this type of thinking, you cripple yourself. Courageously seize the opportunities that fate offers you and place the outcome of your effort in the hands of the divine. Thirdly, have absolute faith in your spiritual master. If you constantly doubt, you are unable to see the truth, even if it is directly before your eyes. Shraddha is primal trust, such as that between a mother and her child. A crying baby quietens as soon as the mother takes it into her arms, because with this it feels safe and secure. Whoever possesses this natural capacity to trust is happy and successful in life. You are only able to recognize the truth when you show unconditional trust in your spiritual master, just like a child to its mother. The fourth treasure is Uparati, and it means to rise above things by not being dependent or being afraid. When you face everything with a positive attitude, you cannot really be harmed because you are able to draw valuable lessons from everything, even accidents. Fear and problems always arise when we are afraid of losing something. A wealthy person who is surrounded by guards, bolts, and padlocks is, in reality, a prisoner of their own possessions. In the principles of Raja Yoga, it is said, that is the royal yoga, you should not accumulate possessions. Specifically, the word is aparigraha, non-accumulation, and it is one of the principles of Raja Yoga. Rise above worldly things and practice renunciation, not as a painful turning away from the world, but as a liberating act of turning towards the divine. Mahatma Gandhi also said, renounce and enjoy. This is an important rule of life. The fifth treasure is the diksha. It means equanimity and inner strength. Everyone is aware that they will continue to face obstacles and difficulties in life. When was our existence ever completely free of problems? Do not lose your nerve, even if a situation appears to be hopeless. Remember that nothing lasts forever. Only the self is unchanging and eternal. Everything else is changeable and transitory because time continues to march on inexorably. The body is changing every second, just as thoughts, feelings, and situations also continue to change. Never despair, even if you should fare badly at some time. Pray to the divine for tidiksha, inner strength, courage, and steadfastness. And the last of the six treasures is samadhana, and it means inner composure and the ability to remain focused on one's goal. Never lose sight of the goal. If disturbances and resistance surface, set yourself down quietly, close your eyes, and carefully think about the situation. If you feel a surge of malice or rage building within you, do not act at once. Remain detached and merely observe your own emotions. Sri Mahaprabhu Ji said, when the waves are high, one should not dive into the sea for pearls. Therefore, wait until the inner waves have again subsided. Then, carefully and calmly put the following questions to yourself. What have I done? Why have I acted so? What have I thought? Why have I thought so? What do I think now? Why do I think so? What should I think? And how should I act? Then ask yourself, how important was it? Why was it so important? Or, was it all important? What have I lost? Have I really lost anything? And was it of importance for my eternal happiness? You can never lose what is important for eternal happiness. Therefore, in reality, you have lost nothing. And the second philosophical aspect of samadhana is to reflect on the sense and reason for existence. Who has created this world, and for what purpose? Where do I come from, and where do I go to? What is reality, and what is unreality? What is my purpose in life? Therefore, on a general level, this sixth treasure, samadhana, means to withdraw and observe. When the inner waves have quietened, we can dive deeply within ourselves. Only in this way are we able to recognize the truth, the reality, and understand the sense of all difficulties and sufferings. When we are able to withdraw the mind from external things, we can connect with the higher consciousness within ourselves and know the answers to all our questions. My master, Paramahant Swami Madhavananda points out how we can get in touch with the higher consciousness in the bhajan, which is a devotional song that I assume has been translated. So I don't know the rhythm or melody, if it even comes through in this translation, but I'll try my best. What is the essence of the world? Meditate on this every day. Allow the words of wisdom to surround you and to live within you. Deepen the spiritual practice towards self-realization. Study the teachings of the saints and divine incarnations and internalize them in order to truly understand them. Never think or speak despairingly about the Satguru or the Holy Scriptures. Do not allow any obstacles to goodness to take root within you. Write good books for the benefit of the world. Give happiness and joy to all beings. Consider the effects of your action before you decide on the action. Remove yourself from the bonds of bad habits. Do not retreat from the power of your weakness, but act against it courageously. Harbor no doubts about God or the Satguru. Trustingly accept the words of your master and realize them. Thank you for listening. So those are the 6 treasures to counteract the 3 forces of destiny and the 3 spiritual obstacles. That was a long and very explanatory. So if you ever need to listen back to this, you're always welcome. As of course, I'll upload the readings to my Yamsox Lives YouTube channel. And if you notice in the description, there are chapters for every topic that arises during any of these videos, so you can navigate thoughtfully to them. Thank you for listening. I very much love the diction of this Paramahant Swami Maheshwarananda. I am so lucky to be able to read this book for you all. Yes, there is lots to reflect upon, isn't it? No rush. There are 3 levels of understanding: Shravana, Manana, and Nididhyasana. Shravana is the listening, and you've done that excellently. Next comes Manana. Your mind begins to chew on it, and it will become intellectualizable. And eventually becomes Nididhyasana. It becomes practical. But these 3 stages take time. Thank you, Brave Bella, for the trio of roses. Hari Om Tat Sat. And Easy, thank you for the heart me that you sent. Hari Om Tat Sat. And Simply Dawn, thank you for your heart me and your quartet of tiny tinies. The tiny tinies are breaking out into musical prose lately. I don't know. I can't stop it. Thank you. And with that, we come to the closing of our Sangha today. As I mentioned, I'll upload the readings, and this whole live will be uploaded too. All linked in the link tree in my bio, where you can find everything else that I'm up to as well. If you had any unanswered questions, I'd be glad to attend to them in my messages. Not on this platform, but any other platform linked in the link tree in my bio. Thank you for being here with me. Michelle, you share that the tiny diny makes me turn into Elmo. I suppose it does. Elmo's world.
I got my goldfish, my crayons too. That's Elmo's World.
Well, I'm surprised I still remember that. It's been a while since I watched that. Classic show. I loved that show. It was great. All right. Thank you for being here. And Nikki, you share you're still here. It felt rude to go away before I saw it. Oh. Well, you're always welcome to leave at any point. It's okay, but good night, dear Haniki. I hope you have a wonderful sleep tonight. Oh, you remember too, Cherry God. That's sweet. May this live stream be an offering to the divinity within you. To Radha Krishna, Radhe Krishna, Radhe Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Radhe Radhe, Radhe Shyam, Radhe Shyam, Shyam Shyam, Radhe Radhe. Thank you for being here. Thank you for seeing the potential within me, Migo. I have to fix my Manjira, but it's okay. I can at least, I can do this still. Still works, in part. Now this can be a chakra that I can spin on my finger. Or not. And thank you, Simply Dawn, for your money gun. A very funny gift, making it rain. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Dob Darker, for your heart me. Om Namah Shakti Shivaya. Thank you, Isabella, for your quintet of roses. I like your new profile picture. And Anazek, thank you for your trio of roses too. 2 hours really does go by fast, and it's closer to 3 hours now. So we'll end about 2 hours and 40 minutes into our Sangha. May you all have a beautiful rest of your present moment. I hope to see you tomorrow. Namaste.